Okay, here we are. FJ62 or FJ80. Which one do you buy? Well, it all depends, right? Are you a movie mogul, producer? You might want to go with the fully window, clear, clean, classic FJ62 look. But do you shave twice a month? A little bit rugged, wear a baseball cap a lot? Well, you're probably going to want to have the FJ80, the off-roader, a little bit more rugged and muscular. So classic versus muscle, but one of these is a lot more capable than the other. We'll get into that in just a second. So first off, when choosing between these two, what's market availability? Well, first of all, FJ60 started in 1980, and they built them all the way to ultimately 1990. It's always about 10 years that they will produce, a Landcruiser will produce a model, right? The FJ40 being the longest of those, even produced in other countries, well beyond 1984. But in 80, the 60 came out, carbureted, a little bit stinky, underpowered. It had the 2F engine that came from the FJ40, shared that engine. Then it went to the 3F. That's what this is. So the square lights in the front of this truck gives it away. That's a 1989 FJ62 with the square lights, fuel injected, about 155 horsepower. So, you're not going to win any races, but 155 and about 220 torque. So they went up from the 60, the round light version of this model. It went from 135 horsepower to 155 horsepower, and it jumped about 10 in torque to about 220 in torque. Solid axles, 4-speed, the wheelbase 107. So let's jump over to, there we go, to the FJ80. So the FJ80, actually one of my first cars that I ever got was an FJ80 in 1995, an emerald green. So not this one, but that kind of dated emerald green color from Toyota. This one is Moon Glow Pearl on 1995, and yes, I'll answer it right away. It is triple locked, so this is bomb diggity. Both these trucks are a little bit outfitted, lifted and all. We'll get to that in about a second. But Moon Glow Pearl, and if you want, just comment what your favorite color FJ80 is. Comment below. They had some pretty cool colors back in the day. So the FJ80, we were just talking about engine. Well, they went from the first FJ80s in they came out in 91, 92. It had the same engine as the FJ62 here, had the same engine, shared the same engine, the same tranny. But in 1993, they bumped up to what is the FJZ80, which had the 1FZ engine, which was a 4.5 liter inline six. Jumped substantially in horsepower from 155 horsepower to 212. So if you're in the market and you're definitively getting an FJ80, look for a 1995, 96, or 97. And you can jump over to Lexus if you're getting 96 and 97 up. Personally, me, I prefer the Toyota look versus the cladding and that Lexus look. To me, Toyota's, the Landcruiser holds a little bit more value too, because it's all in the name. So this Landcruiser, again, 1995. So I went back and recently, a couple of years ago, I bought this out of Arizona. No rust, just beautiful, great condition. Already lifted with an Old Man Emu 2-inch lift. So actually, let's just jump to the lifts real quick. That has a 2-inch, and you can notice the FJ62 is bigger because a couple reasons. The tires are 35-inch, and yes, they do clear. And it's got a Old Man Emu Manfrey lift, reverse shackle, which is giving it about a 4-inch lift. Let's get up close and check that. So there you go. Yes, springs, of course, on the FJ62, and there we go. Now on the FJ80, this is where they moved from springs, but they still kept solid axles, front and rear solid axle, but they went from springs, leaf springs I should say, to coilovers, shocks, and again, that has an old man emu underneath. So interestingly enough, on the for as far as 4x4, right? So if you're considering these trucks for doing some 4x4ing, well, the FJ62, it's two-wheel drive, rear wheel, but you can switch into four-wheel drive, and you can lock the center diff, and you got hub lockers. So when we get inside, we'll look at that, but you can lock here. And they all came that way. Conversely, with the FJ80, if you get this, try to get it triple locked. Then you don't have to get any aftermarket ARB air lockers or anything like that. But electronically triple locked makes this thing totally capable. Each wheel turns independent of one another. So you can lock the center, you can lock the rear, and you can lock the front in those precarious positions you find yourself in when you're off-roading. Full-time four-wheel drive. So this is the first time that Toyota put out a product, so in 1991 and onward, where it's full-time four-wheel drive. Can't go to two-wheel drive in this thing. And yes, as far as gas efficiency, they both get in gas mileage. Horrible. Suck gas back. But you're not getting that to conserve the oil refineries' stockpile. These do drink. Okay, so 4-speed in this in 1995, you got airbags. So again, why 95, 96, 97 to me are the preferable ones. Triple locked, and again, triple locked, maybe 35%, 38% came triple locked. So anybody who gets one of these, they love their Landcruiser. But one comment that's pretty common is, I wish mine was triple locked. So that's the lockers. And we'll look at that in the interior here in a second. Yeah, four-wheel, full-time on that. Now towing, are you going to tow with these? Well, if you're towing with that, 3,500 pounds, not a lot. And if you're going to tow with this, the FJ80, yeah, you get 5,000 pounds. Again, it's not a V8. V8 didn't come until 1998 with the 100 series, which bumped that up an extra 1,500 pounds of towing. So 100 series will tow you 6,500. A 200 series will tow you 8,500. And you know, we can get into this later because I will compare this truck to the 80 to a 100. But the 100, if you have the automatic height control, that limits how much you can tow to about 6,000. And if you don't have the automatic height control, you can tow about 1,500 pounds more in the 100 series, which is a V8. So the V8 gave the Landcruiser the ability to tow more. Oh yeah, just for kicks, I like to name my trucks. So when I bought this one, it had a name already, Otis. So when I bought it in Arizona, the guy said, "Can I take one last picture with my daughters?" You know, he loved this truck. He was sad to see it go, but he just had to do it. And I heard one of the girls say like, "Oh, Otis is leaving?" So I kept the name Otis, but I gave it an acronym. So it's Otis, yeah, over terrain in style. So the acronym is that. This one, when I got it, you know, I did bring this one back to life a bit. It was a little bit neglected, needed some TLC. So when we first saw it, you know, it had the original wheels, a little bit rusty, didn't have that confer up top, the roof rack. So my youngest daughter, she's 14 at the time, said, "This looks like something Ted Bundy would drive." So I laughed, and then the name Ted, I had to drop Bundy, but the name Ted stuck. It gives me a chuckle every time, but I still think that's beautiful. I don't think Ted Bundy would drive that. I'm just knocking over my water bottles. Okay, so as you can tell, I don't like to edit. I like just to do it in one shot. Okay, so towing we went over. Wheelbase, so 107.5 for the 62, and they added about 5 inches to the wheelbase, so it's 112 on the FJ80. Oh yes, interestingly enough, and we can look through the clear windows here, no third row. third row seat for the first time in a Landcruiser product was with the FJ80. So we got third row capability. So you can take 2 in the front, 3 in the second row, and 2 in the back, maybe 3 in the back. So that's a 7 to 8 passenger vehicle. I don't know what they rate it for. They might try to get away with 8 if they have the 3 seat belts in the back. But whenever you're shopping for one of these, those third row seats are always in the best condition possible because they're always folded up and not used. Okay, some just finishing touches I did on these trucks before we get into the interiors and look at the engine bays. Wheels. Yes, wheels make a difference. I've said that many a time, but I always think you got to do wheels that are date correct with the vehicle that you're looking at. So on this one, this has some Mickey Thompson 35-inch, so you know, aluminum, polished, and it's a bitch to polish those, by the way. So I do get why they went to basically painted, finished rims nowadays. So those 35s, that's giving it a lift, right? When I went from 33s to 35s on this truck, the truck went up an inch because of, well, 1 inch gets taken up into the wheel well circumference, right? And then the other inch is giving it the height. I think the 80 looks best with the original wheels. Yeah, there's some modern wheels, but again, I like to keep things date correct. So, and there's really not any wheels I like from 95, 96 that go better on this truck other than its own wheels. Maybe some icons. I saw some cool bronze icons that could be nice on a truck like this. I saw an I Hate Mud on a Moonglow Pearl. But those wheels are sweet. I just took the caps off to give it a nicer look. And whenever you do that, give it a fresh spray of paint, make it nice and black. And these are sitting on 33s. So, you know, typically this truck, both these trucks come with about 31-inch wheels. So 33s is already a larger wheel. This would probably look great with 35s, and that's a project down the road. Now on the front, both have bars. So let's talk about the FJ62 first. That's an ARB out of Australia. Mate, they sure know how to make a great bar, I tell you. So that bar, I mean, it can take a lot. You can see it's got a nice little dent in there, and it really didn't affect anything with that dent. With some rigid lights, a couple bar lights, bar light up top. But the bar, to me, gives it a beautiful look. So I did the same thing on this FJ80. The lights, yes, I changed them. Some people will give thumbs up. Some people will say, how dare you? But I think it's cool. I think these lights were great, and they were hard to get. Those are some Baja LP9s to give the finishing touches. Those look great when lit up. And some Demon shackles on there. So to me, that bar makes it look great, but more importantly, look at that approach angle. You get a lot of wheel, so you don't really have to go to 37s on this truck with a bar like that. And some people that might already have FJ80s or had one in the past, you'll notice the bars usually are a lot lower, and you see down here your turn signal. So my turn signal now is that little light on the side, because this bar comes up an extra 3 inches higher, hence giving you all that clearance. So when you rock crawl, approach angle and departure angle, pretty important. Both these trucks, I left the rear as is, because I do like that bumper. Maybe I put a 4x4 Labs bumper back here. I think those are pretty sweet. And as you can see, approach angles, yes, with a bumper that would be a little higher, and then get rid of that full-size spare in the back. And I just tell my kids that's when we were being chased by a Velociraptor, and it just got the back of our bumper. Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then added these lights. Yes, I did put some simple $10 tint on those back lights, which I think gives it a nice dark look. Same thing with this original bumper, because I just love that full chrome bumper on it, and that one was in perfect shape. Tinted lights with the bars. And spacers, as you can see, whenever you go up, you want to go out. So that did require spacers to help with the clearance. And same thing. It's the subtleties. Like the wheels on these trucks are inset, definitely. So I like it when it comes nice and flush. And the higher it is, they can actually start to stick out about an inch or two. Like that green one way back there. That's the green machine with 40-inch tires, and they stick out. I'll get closer to that in a second. All right. So again, midway cap here before we check the interiors. The FJ60, small family. You can pack a bunch of gear. Put that comfer back there. Let's just actually look at that real quick. On that comfer, we've got the shovel, the axe, recovery boards, all in black so they don't stick out so much. And I did get the axe because, well, my daughter says this is Ted Bundy, so got to go with the look. But I just love that roof rack. I found that in LA for 200 bucks. It needed some paint, so I sanded it down, got it painted up, and it just looks great. And it's a bigger rack than like the Smitty built or a lot of the ones that are in the market today for all the Jeeps. So I got this high lift, put it up there, and it gives it a nice look. But I had to retrofit the Smitty built mounts with my Dremel. But that worked out. And again, look-wise, the FJ80, it's got that muscular look, right? And yes, there's some tents. I would probably put a tent up here. But as far as putting a old school roof rack like what's on the FJ62, it just wouldn't go in my book. So you can go a little bit more modern, sleek on top of the FJ80. I just left it clean with those bars there. I just like that look so much. And those bars up top, the racks, when you get your FJ80, they're going to be faded out. Take the time to unscrew them, take them, put them out on the yard, spray paint them with some good trim paint, good quality, put them back up, and they're just going to look like new. Movie producer, cool guy, LA, old school, great truck. As your primary driver, hell no, have this as a second or third vehicle, because, you know, if you're driving this on the weekend, you're gonna love it. If you drive it full time, you're gonna hate it. It struggles on the hills and it's just not fast. But on the weekend, nostalgia, going back to yesteryear, that truck just checks all the boxes, puts a big smile on your face, you know, when you're not in a rush. This one, well, it's doable. This is the rock crawler that you don't have to trailer. This one you drive to the trails and go from, you know, pavement to dirt road to rocks. Pretty much the most capable vehicle out there. A lot of Jeep guys, JK guys, end up getting these because when they off-road and they camp, well, this is just bigger. So it's fully capable, does everything, yet you've got the space to bring a lot of gear with you. So it's kind of the go-to, and people are discovering that. So these are getting harder and harder to come by. And a lot of them are getting outfitted like this. Oh yeah, one other thing. This one has the sliders. So that's great when you're on the trail, not to damage. And this one does not. But that extra couple inches of height, hopefully, like just look at that clearance underneath. It's just huge. All right, why don't we jump inside, take a look at these interiors. Start with the FJ62. So old school, gotta like that. Even has the original deck. If you get one of these, if the interior is done, and it would have to be done to be in this shape, this is a spot that always rips. So if you go to buy that material, it's like $150 a yard. It's ridiculously expensive. So what I did, I found a door just like this. Not this door, but I found a door online. I bought it, just not the full door, just the skin. And I cut out enough of this. Well, an upholstery shop that I gave it to cut out enough and fixed that simple tear. But this interior just came up looking great. And lots of cargo space in the back there. So without that third row, yeah, you have a ton of space. I like to mountain bike, so my mountain bike fits in there no problem. Because I have this in 4K, I don't have the ability to zoom, so let's jump in the back and get a full look at that interior. So top left, there's the H4 to go into four-wheel drive, high 4. And then here you have your two-wheel drive low, sorry, high, I should say, your neutral, and then your four-wheel low. So simple, so nice. And just look at the windows. There is no blind spot in this car. It's windows, windows, and windows. And I like them untinted. I think that's the best way to have an FJ60 or 62. Clear windows. Super comfortable, and you get a nice high view with that lift. All right, let's jump over to the FJ80. Before we do though, I was going to show you the Green Machine. As I mentioned, I name all my vehicles, so this one is the Green Machine, and those are 40-inch tires, and those stick out because the higher you go, the further out you can go. And then I just got this one recently. This one almost as high. It's got 35 Swampers on it. It's also a spring over axle lift. And that one, its name is Ketchup because it's red like ketchup, and it's so darn slow because it's the original 1F 155 engine, which is what, 125 horsepower with a 3-speed transmission. So it's always trying to catch up, hence the name Ketchup. All right, back to the 80. Oh yeah, those LP9 lights from Baja, they will light up the night. I took this up on the North Divide. That's going up to Saddleback Mountain, about an hour-and-a-half run. Fire roads, pretty simple. But it got dark, and that lit our way home. Now on an FJ80, yes, you get the luxury of leather. But the problem with that, unless it's redone, and these aren't, these are original seats. I want to keep them original. You can see it starting to crack because this leather is really dry and thick, but I've been putting coat after coat of different oils and conditioners, bringing it back to life. Leather here, vinyl here from the manufacturer. That's why this looks fine, but that's leather and it is prone to crack. Steering wheel in great shape. And I just love this color interior. So let's take a look. Four-wheel drive full time, so then you'll just have your high and your low. No need to go into two-wheel drive because you can't. And then right here is our center lock. And I'm trying to remember, I bought this, I think I bought this aftermarket, so it's just a way to be able to switch it and do it full time. I did it 2 years ago, I'm trying to recall. So second row always will be in a lot better shape than your driver's seat, of course. And then the third row back there, I've got the seats folded up. Well, let me get into the back seat so we get a better view of the interior. Oh yeah, this is the button right there. This button here should just get diff lock off and just say go anywhere, anytime. And they could also put their click here to save a Jeep. So that button, that's worth a lot. So yes, pay the premium. If you find FJ80 and it's triple locked, you do want to pay that premium. So there's that interior. I love it. And this truck, you know, I was saying for a daily driver on the 62, do not make the mistake of getting that for a daily driver. Have that as your second, your third, your weekend pleasure car. This one, you can get away as a daily driver. So it's, you know, the V6, very capable, 212. So you got, what, 60 plus more horsepower. Inline six, better designed engine. You just have to, these vehicles have the issue with the head gasket. You do want to change your gaskets, your valve cover and your head gasket on these at about 200,000 miles. This one has 171,000 miles, and I did it anyways. As soon as I bought it, I did about $3,000 worth of engine work, so I would never have to worry. And that badge I added just in case I forgot what vehicle I was driving. I put that there for fun. Sunroof, whereas the FJ62s did not have sunroof. And then, even though they maintained the same kind of design with that long rear window, what they did with the FJ80, it's a sliding window, so that opens up, which was pretty darn cool. So you can slide that open, and then when it came to the 100 series, you can press a button and kind of tilt it open, like a sunroof tilts open. Same thing, the back of this would open up for good airflow. And then in the 100 series, I guess they started cutting corners, saving money. Not the 100, sorry, the 200 series, they cut corners and stopped with the ability to open up that rear window. And a view from the back, always the split. A lot of people don't think about this, but the 4Runner doesn't have that. A lot of trucks don't have this, and it costs them more to build. So instead of having one big gate that swings open, and if you're skiing, hiking, you got to sit on a dirty bumper, you know, to put boots on or whatever gear. Here, you can sit here, you can put your food out if you're on the fire road stopping to eat. I love it. So split gate, you don't realize it until you don't have one anymore, how nice they are. And these seats in the back, oh yeah, I was about to say you can remove them. You can with a lot of trouble. These do come out. But the in the 100 series, the model after this, you can remove them. You can just pop them out, put them in your garage if you're going to be bringing a lot of gear. And then when they went to the 200 series, then they became full-time locked in there. So yeah, these ones are locked in just like a 200 series. All right, I will just hit pause, and with the magic of video, we'll get both these hoods open here. Okay, so before we get a look at these engines, I don't think I went over production numbers. So you kind of know supply, demand, and what's out there. So this is obviously US based, because these trucks, they sold all across the US. Actually, as of 2019, at some point during the year, the 10 millionth Landcruiser was produced in 2019. We're 2020 now, but 10 million Landcruisers. So let's hope they do build a 300 series. Rumors are they might not, or they might just go back to a turbocharged V6. Let's hope they keep it V8, which will put these values up. Well, they're going to go up anyhow. But the 60, so the round light version, 1980 through 87, they made about 23,000 of them, US stock spec. And then the 62, which this one is, with the square lights, that's how you tell the difference. Fuel injection too, so better, the major improvement. The 62, they made about 17,000 of them from 88, 89, and then some in 90. And then 91, we went to this one. So all in all, depending if you like a 62 better and you want fuel injection without, you know, the carburetor, you got 17,000 that were produced. You know, how many have rusted out? How many, unfortunately, have been accidented? Who knows? So they're coming far and few between. And this is a go-to look. People love this, and I think it just keeps appreciating with time. Like fine wine, it's just going to keep getting nicer and nicer as it becomes more classic as the years go by. Well, when we went to the 80 series, 91, 92, you know, the lesser desired ones because it shares the same engine as that. But 93, they did go to the 4.5 liter 212 inline six, and it wasn't until 95 that they changed the dash. They did a whole bunch of things inside. You know, so a major facelift was in 95. But in this truck, the 80, they made about 16,000 of the 91, 92 version. And then when you got to 93 up with the FJZ engine, they made 58,000 of them. So in all, 80 series, they made 74. And well, if you want to include the LX, they made about 14,000 LXs in 96 and 97 when Lexus decided to jump into the SUV game, making them a tad bit more luxurious. You know, a little bit different leather. So if you find an LX 450, chances are the leather didn't crack as much as this, but still could have been worn. So yeah, all in all then, that would put us at what, 88,000 80 series if you include the Lexus. And then, just so you know, the 100 series in the Landcruiser version, they made about 80,000, 81. And the same thing with the 100 series, that's the 98 through 2007. They made about 80,000 of the Lexus. So the production, you know, SUVs became more popular. So they made 160,000 of the 100 series versus 88,000 of the 80 series versus what, about 40,000 of the 60 and 62. 40, 80, and then I keep saying 100 series. People are probably thinking, what is he talking about? That's a 100 series, the silver one. That's a Lexus, a 2006. I have a whole other video about that. So just, if you subscribe to my channel, look at the 470 versus Landcruiser. I have a 470 versus a 570. Soon I'll have a 100 versus a 200, which are the Landcruisers. So comparison videos. All right, let's look at these engines. Enough is enough, right? Enough numbers. But it's good to know those numbers, right? Because 40,000 of these trucks, not a whole bunch that will be out there. So, electronic fuel injection. First time that they came out with it. So it's the 3FE engine. Yes, a California truck, even though it's California truck, it sat around. So I need to give some TLC to this engine. Maybe take that off and respray it and do some cleaning. But bottom line is, I brought this to a dealership, Toyota dealership, and they were, you know, not only drooling over this truck, but they said the engine is just amazing. It's performing, no leaks, no problems, no issues. And this has 160,000 miles on it for a 1989. Pretty low miles. All right. This is the 24 valve, 212 horsepower, what is it, the 1FZ engine. As you can see, better maintained than the FJ62, pretty clean. Well, and I did have the head gaskets done and a bunch of work done on this when I first got it. So this is good for the next 120,000 miles easy. And as you know, Landcruisers are built to last. The FJ62 or 60, you know, those regularly 300,000-400,000 miles. And a lot of them on the market are going to be in the 200, the low twos. So don't be worried about that. Yes, you might have to put a couple thousand into just, you know, getting everything baselined on the engine. And then an 80, also these regularly can go to 400,000 or 500,000 miles when maintained properly. All right, let's get those hoods closed. So there you have it, the 62 and the 80. So which one to buy? In my opinion, as you can see in front of you, well, buy both. Have the best of both worlds. And totally different experiences. I love the 62. Again, it's that nostalgic feel, that great look. Look at that hood, right? So I call that the patina. Everywhere else, the paint is great. The hood, I was about to get it done, and I had a friend say to me, leave it. It looks awesome. Maybe just sand off those little whitish areas and just get it to the flat patina look. But everything else, that paint is in excellent shape. Paint issues you can have with these, up on the upper rail, you can see up here, the right along there, you can get rust, and yes, I have some on the other side. And you can get some rust up along the door frame here. So here, I've got a little bit. Even though this was a California car, you know, that ocean air, the misty air gets into those rain gutters, and unfortunately, it can start to cause rust. And on the 62, yes, they kept the gutters, but not typical to get rust issues up there. It can happen, you know. And again, these are both West Coast vehicles, so you know, even though West Coast, you know, zero rust on either one, but there was minor surface rust because the 62 spent its life at Cardiff by the Sea, so, you know, near not Escondido, but La Jolla, a little south of that. So, you know, or Oceanside, like that type of area. So ocean air, yeah, cannot be friendly to cars. But overall, chassis and everything are perfect. So another thing to consider when you're shopping for these cars, you know, look up the history, look up the Carfax. You know, these both were, you know, have the VIN numbers that can be looked up on Carfax. So see where it spent its life. You know, don't be shy when you're looking at the car. Get underneath it. Look for everything. Drop the tailgate. Look behind the tailgate, you know, where the rear wheel would kick up any salt or grime. And sometimes you think you're looking at a California truck, but what if it spent its life in Tahoe, where they salt the roads, right? So do your homework, do your research. You know, prices will only go up on these, so I would say the sooner you can get one, if it's on your bucket list, probably the better. But there you go, 62 and the 80. Hope you enjoyed the video. If there's any questions you had that I didn't kind of answer throughout this video, this 35 minutes or so, definitely just make a comment below and subscribe. I'm going to put up other videos. I'm going to compare the 80 right here to a 100. So any people that are trying to decide between those two trucks based on what they plan, what type of activities they plan to do, I'll give a suggestion on that comparison. All right, there we go. And in the background, Ketchup and the Green Machine. If you subscribe, look at the channel. There's a comparison video of those two as well. And also some off-roading videos with the Green Machine, which fully locked, just like Otis here. When you're fully locked, you can go climb anything. You can go to the Rubicon, you can go to Moab, you can go to Cleghorn out here. There's Dishpan out in Big Bear. So check the channel for off-road videos as well and other cool things. All right, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. And go get yourself a Landcruiser.